Sactown Sports.
What a nice way to put it. Sean McVay, coach of the Rams. I thought special teams was a huge advantage for us today. Or the 49ers, if they're able to hang on to the football and just kick a field goal at the end of the first half, the lead is probably insurmountable at that point.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. They had an opportunity, a drop here, a missed field goal there. And, and that goes back to what I was saying earlier. It just seems like, once something happens, it sort of snowballs and it becomes contagious. Moody had been great, this season. He had been phenomenal, and he misses, albeit a 55-yarder. Bell, he had an early drop. I understand that. But then, a critical play, you got to go out there and make those kind of plays, and they just weren't able to do it yesterday.
Yeah, Denny Green, he used to coach – he coached Stanford.
Yeah,
he was 49ers coach. He was Cardinals coach. He coached here 1 year or a couple of years with the Mountain Lions. But he used to say, dropping a football, he said, it's un-American. He says, everybody, every kid is throwing the football on the street. You drop a football,
catch from the day you
American. Mm-hmm. And when you're a receiver and the ball hits you in the hands in a big play, I'm sure no one feels worse than Ronnie Bell. But I thought that was great the way Brock Purdy handled it, saying, and you pointed out too, you said, that could have been a better throw. But Brock Purdy said, I thought I could have made a better throw there, and we're all behind him.
And that's one thing about stuff. Brock is never going to point the finger. I mean, we've seen him, last week he did it as well. I got to be better. I got to make a better throw to help my guys out. But to your point, sometimes the ball doesn't always have to be perfect. Sometimes you can make adjustments. Sometimes, why don't the receivers sometimes bail Brock Purdy out? And I thought Jawan Jennings did a hell of a job of that yesterday. Some of those catches Jawan Jennings had, like that in traffic, one-on-one jump balls. Jawan Jennings made hell of a plays, but Ronnie Bell, he didn't make a play in that situation.
He made one. Jawan Jennings made one catch. It was like, that's almost impossible.
Right.
Yeah. There were also, I was going to say there were a lot. I don't know if there were a lot, but there was at least one fight yesterday.
Did you see the one I sent you or no?
Yeah.
Text line.
I just, and obviously a lot of alcohol involved, a lot of frustrations. There were punches thrown, and there's somebody's wife or girlfriend was in there, and she's swinging, and there's like 4 or 5 or 6 Rams fans and 49er fans mixing it up on a concourse there. Where was security? Wouldn't security typically just come in with something like that? I mean, it's right there in the concourse. It's not in the seats.
Security, they don't pay those guys enough. Like a lot of times security is, retired people or something like that who serve in that area. I will say this fight, and I'm looking at it here too, the Rams fan and Niners, this happens in every stadium, every week, in every game. Like, it's out of control in NFL games. Like, this is it just now we get to see them all. We capture them all on phones, but it's ridiculous.
One guy got dropped and he got up, but, who knows what kind of damage was done to him. And it doesn't look like anyone was seriously hurt, but you never know. And it's just, it reminds me of the whole thing with the poor Giants fan down at Dodger Stadium. When it was 10 years ago, whatever it was. Guy ended up with brain damage.
Right. I mean, I'm watching it. The woman got knocked down, and she's trying to square up too.
Her man got punched, not badly, but he got punched, and then she went after the guy, and things escalated from there.
Oh, did you see the end of it? That one Niners fan got decked and went. That's pretty bad.
The cross. Yeah, he gets back up though.
Yeah, he's a little wobbly though. He's a little woozy. Yeah, this happens all over though.
Scary.
And I don't want to paint no pictures of either of these fan bases. This happens every game that goes on.
It goes on so long, and obviously, based on what you said, I'm expecting too much. But at some point, doesn't somebody from security just come in at least?
Yeah.
And that goes on a long time. And again, it's not in the seats; it's in the concourse.
Yeah, and I don't even see any security
in
this video, which is crazy to think about it. I mean, this I'm sorry to laugh, but this guy came out of nowhere with his hands up, ready to duke it out too. This is alcohol right here, man. This is alcohol infused. Yep.
A lot of people who make predictions, place legal bets. They probably were into alcohol last night too, because it was another strange day of results in the NFL. Denver 26, Tampa Bay 7, New York Giants 21 at Cleveland 15. Carolina winning at Vegas 36-22. Matthew Stafford said it best last night after the Rams when he said the NFL is an improbable business. And it sure seems to be that to an extreme degree 3 weeks into this season.
Maybe more so than before in previous years, right? I feel like
feels like it.
Yeah, and maybe things will settle down and work themselves out. As the season goes on, the cream will rise to the top, if you will. But the Giants getting a win over Cleveland, I thought was huge. The Texans, even though the Vikings, are a good team, Vikings mollywopped the Texans. I thought that would be a great game. A great defense going against, a good offense. That didn't happen. I had the Chargers beating the Steelers as well, but somehow Justin Fields is working his magic and the Steelers are getting wins. The Broncos, led by my guy Bo Nix, going into Tampa.
So a rookie finally threw a touchdown pass?
Finally, right? It's and the Panthers beating the Raiders. I don't know, and this is what I said earlier. I feel like it's wide open, in both conferences right now. When I look at the NFC, let's say, Whitey, if I'm being honest, I think the Eagles have a shot. Minnesota, Detroit. I'm going to throw Green Bay in there because once Love gets back, I feel like they have a shot.
How about the Saints? I threw them in last week and Jay threw them right back at me.
I'm keeping them in there. I'm going to keep the Saints in there.
He's taking it off. He's waving it off.
Jay, they've given up 44 points through 3 games. Their defense has been stellar, a plus 59 point differential. So I got to include the Saints. I got to put respect on them. Tampa Bay, I'm going to still throw some respect on them. Seattle. I think the NFC West might be better than I expected this year, actually. It's going to be a dogfight.
Is this to win the Super Bowl or to get out
I'm
and
just
get
saying,
to the Super Bowl?
Playoffs. Get to the playoffs. Before, I thought going in, you probably had only 4 legit, the top of the top. I thought my Eagles, I thought Detroit, I thought Green Bay, and I thought San Francisco. Now I got to throw a bunch of other teams out there. To me, the NFC is almost a toss-up.
You think the Saints, Tampa have legit options to come out the NFC and make it to the Super Bowl?
I do.
Wow.
Yes, they're playing much better than I expected. And let's not forget, Tampa won a playoff series, a playoff game last year. They aren't that far off. So I got to put some respect on them. And the Saints.
Yeah, but they beat a reeling team that just shut up.
When?
Tampa Bay last year. They beat a team that
they did. They probably, but they're playing better than I expected, and so I got to give them credit too. It's not just the Niners and everybody else, fellas.
The Niners worry meter.
No, I'm not saying that.
I think the Niners worry meter right now is it's definitely registering. But to me, the team with the most to be concerned about is Dallas.
Yeah. 2 home losses. They had a big comeback yesterday, but then you got Dak going at CeeDee Lamb. You got issues there. And they didn't get much better, and their defense got annihilated yesterday for 3 quarters. And I know they came back, but to me, of those teams you just mentioned, and I don't even know if you mentioned Dallas. Maybe you didn't. I didn't.
That group. That's, to me, the team that was supposed to contend that right now has to look in the mirror and go, yeah, maybe not this year.
Yeah, and the thing with Dallas, too, is, as I look at the numbers, they're giving up about 30 points per game.
Woo.
It just seems off. Something just seems wrong with the team. They seem broken behind the scenes. The defense is a sieve, it's a turnstile, and something just like the offense has been okay, 77 points through 3 games, but defensively they can't stop anybody. And I'm looking at they've given up the most points in the NFC outside of the Rams, who gave up 91. Remember, the Rams got busted up last week, and so I'm not on the Cowboys bandwagon. I don't put them among those other teams I just mentioned. I think they're a tier below.
But the 49ers had the worst loss of the week yesterday, in my opinion, of all the teams. I know the Raider fans are stunned, but because they had the lead,
right,
and they blew the lead the way they did, to me, that was the worst loss of the weekend.
Yeah, you're up 7 with 2:52 left to go, or whatever it is. I didn't look at the win probability.
Those analytics guys, it was around, it was very high, very high 90s again,
right?
For the 49ers.
Yeah, you're right. And it, based on who they are, what they're trying to accomplish, the fact that they led 14-0 at one point, led by 10 early in the fourth quarter, that should be money in the bank, right?
The Broncos over the Buccaneers? You think the Niners loss for the Bucket or is bigger than the Buccaneers?
Yeah,
I think we got to remove ourselves from the fact that this is a local squad. I'm talking about national and really looking at it like the Buccaneers were 2-0. And they just beat the Lions. They lost to the Broncos.
To be a Super Bowl contender.
And so are the Buccaneers too, what Drapes is kind of saying.
Yeah, because the Broncos have looked awful.
They're terrible.
Yeah, I agree with you, Jay. I think to me that's probably the most surprising one.
That's not Matt Stafford playing for the Denver Broncos.
Mm-hmm.
That's Bo Nick's third game going into Baker Mayfield 2-0, just beat the Lions.
Yeah, they're still 2-1. They're still 2-1. It's like that was a bad loss. To me, the 49ers loss was much worse. That's my opinion. By the way, good news today for the Vikings. Sam Darnold underwent an MRI and no structural damage. He has a bruise in his sore. Does not appear to be any concern that he could miss next week's game against Green Bay. So
put some love, respect on him.
He was asked about it and he said, I don't know. We'll see. I don't know. And some people thought, he thinks it's going to be bad. But the MRI came back in a favorable light for Sam Darnold.
Comeback player of the year, Sam Darnold, right there. He's been like
what?
He's from benching, being bad, obscurity. How bad do the Jets look now, right? Handling their quarterback situation. Geno Smith, Sam Darnold, guys, former Jets. They had the answer right there the whole time.
They did.
And they let it go. Yeah.
Vlade has an answer to those who wonder whether he made a mistake not drafting Luka. You hear what Vlade had to say?
I heard that.
You want to get into that a little bit?
I guess.
We'll do that next with Kyle Draper on Sactown Sports.
Hey, it's Carmichael